All right, y'all, we're gonna check out this boudoir photographer. Gonna see if their local search and their city search, if they got BSS for either of those searches. We only got one search for them today. All right, so we're back in the GBC universe. We're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. And as always, our North Star here is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that, pinned video up on the top, homepage, wherever. Now, this is because FSIC explains that all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got in white down there, our intent, basically our intent spectrum, highest intent on the left, lowest intent over on the right. And so if a boudoir photography business is rising, it's most likely bringing in peeps from the entire intent spectrum, the whole length. And if it's if a boudoir photography business is falling, then most likely it's missing, not bringing in, some cohort of people. Now, the highest 10 people over on the left are doing things like Google search, social media search, like a boudoir photo shoot in their city, like right now. And those people are fastest to the money, highest to convert. We talk about that with BSS here in our videos. And then our sister brand, way at the end over there, name is Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. That's where we are talking about BLCS. But right now, we're only currently working with the boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. So on to BSS. BSS is boudoir search sameness. As when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google for the highest intent buyer keywords in their city. And so 0 slots is awful. I mean, we're basically dead at that point. That's because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even reach page 2. So 80% of Google searches literally, one and done Google searches, or page 1 and done Google searches. So from page 2, only approximately 20% of searches of people searching will ever even find us. And page 1 slot, that's not good either. Or 1 slot on page 1. I mean, it's better, but we're still basically invisible because guess what? There's 10 organic slots on page 1. If we go on one of them, then there's basically 9 other boudoir photographers with 1 slot. Best scenario. Worst scenario is if another boudoir photographer is like 2 or 3, and then we're going to really never getting looked at. But let's say everyone has 1. And guess what a buyer's doing? They're going down, clicking open everyone's link on page 1, because approximately 80% of buyers ain't even hitting page 2. And guess what? They're contacting everyone on page 1, getting a quote from everyone, comparing, price gets shoved down through the roof or down through the floor, and kind of steals margin from everyone. So 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google, no. As BSS, we cannot deal with any of that. And that's because 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google is actually not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. So it's super common, it's accepted, but symptom of 2 deeper root causes, and those are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, yeah, basically everyone knows this. It's like, seems like every week somebody gets a new iPhone, and then they're throwing up their Google My Business profile and their websites and the National Boudoir. That's kind of taking competition, page 1 organic slots away from us. And or someone gets a camera, and they're posting to the mom groups in the National Boudoir. Also, big wave of this happened during COVID. People lost their jobs, it's out there in money. So as a result, everyone's got a smartphone and an awesome camera. So pretty easy people would say, but the now for boudoir. But what that does increase the supply of boudoir photographers, but the number of buyers remains the same. So it makes it harder for every seller, every boudoir photographer to be getting those clients. All right, so everyone knows that. Basically, everyone knows that. Basically, nobody knows about this second thing, which is the false belief of page 1 equality. So that is kind of boudoir photographers kind of automatically assuming without even questioning that every boudoir photographer is entitled, to like either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, maybe they had their slot 8 on page 1 of Google with their website. So new boudoir photographers came in, ranked higher, and got pushed out to page 2. And it's like, oh, well, every boudoir photographer gets 0 1 slots on page 1 of Google. It is what it is. And basically, they're believing there's nothing that can be done about it. So this is 100% incorrect. And I know this for a fact because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on Google, on page 1 of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 on Google in only 10 days with this new strategy we're going to show you all today, or that I'll describe today. And it's kind of like we got to break through the mental barrier of accepting this as a false belief. And then once we do that, we can see, okay, there is a solution out there that we'll get to in like 2 pictures here. That, okay, we can use this to actually literally get as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to put in the effort for. Next, a boudoir photographer BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So, disappearing boudoir photographer. Basically, if we got 0 1 slots on page 1 on Google, we're disappearing because we're either on page 2 or deeper, and approximately 8% of searchers are never going to find us, and that's the bulk of the market that we care about. And if we got one slot on page one of Google, we're being price shopped against the other 9, destroying our margins. We're basically invisible anyways. And we care about this because the disappearing boudoir photographer is the warning light. It's kind of the the red flag going up, where the disappearing boudoir photographer precedes the boudoir photography business itself disappearing. So that's why we care about that. And we got our micro universe here. We got disappearing with boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page one the false belief of page one equality, where we accept it's a false belief. So we're like, okay, now what's the solution? Boom, we finally got a solution. But through our testing, we've learned that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And we know this works because we invented it. It's what I use to go from 0 out of 10 slots, page one of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page one of Google, in only 10 days. And I mean, it works exactly as it's described. We saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, pick up as many slots on social as possible on social search, and that kind of acts as like the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America, where the streams, small streams, the small rivers from the backside of the Andes Mountains actually all flow together to the Amazon River, and into the big Amazon River. That big Amazon River is like page one of Google, and so, but it all starts with social search saturation. That's where it all stems from. And the cool thing about this is the only solution I've ever seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully fight against market saturation, so maintain the business and not decline, but also still grow in the face of market saturation, and for it to happen relatively quickly, and those at least visible results of getting on page one of Google to happen relatively quickly. The only other solution that I have seen is having a strong brand, but that takes 5 to 10 years, which doesn't satisfy the relatively quickly criteria that we need. Because dude, we're in the AI. Dude, AI taking peep shops. We gotta get as much. We gotta get as much slots on page one as Google as possible before AI starts taking people's jobs. And I mean, it's pretty easy to see. SQ methodology can do this. So imagine we're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and there's 1 million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got their websites and they shoot boudoir. So page one competition is insanely crazy. And let's say we take, we see that and we say, okay, we got to take S-cubed methodology to the max. So what we actually do is we actually do S-cubed methodology so hard that we're like the first 300 slots on social search for the highest intent keywords, highest intent buyer keywords for boudoir in our city across all the social networks. And then let's say that flows onto Google, and we're taking like the first 300 slots on Google for the highest intent keywords for boudoir buyers in our city. And it's 10 organic slots per page on Google. So we're literally taking up the first 30 pages on Google. So anytime any buyer looks up, types in a high intent buyer keyword into Google, or even any of the social networks, they're only seeing us. They basically got to go to like page 31 on Google to essentially find any of our competitors. And so once that happens, then basically once that happens, and buyers can essentially only find us. They only see us. Who are they going to go with? Obviously us, whose business will be growing, even though there's 999,999 other boudoir photographers. Obviously us, and whose business will be dying and disappearing because they essentially cannot be found at all for anyone searching. All our competitors. So again, this is why I said the SQ methodology is the only thing I've seen that helps boudoir photographers maintain and still grow their business in the face of market saturation. That happens, or I can get on page one of Google relatively quickly, way faster than Brandon. In my estimation, I could probably build that brand about 8x faster normally because we show up so much more on so many other surfaces. Now, once you're with SQ methodology, we now have page one visibility. So, we got multiple slots on page one of Google as an initial benefit. Second initial benefit is every new slot we get on page one of Google, we're actually kicking one of our competitors at that slot, push them off to page one or deeper, making so approximately 80% of Google searches can never find them. So we turn them into disappearing boudoir photographers, where if they stay there, they're eventually going to exit, be kicked out of the market. So this is an awesome, second initial benefit of using SQ's methodology. So we're making other peeps invisible. And page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So BSV, we actually, this is where our GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one of Google comes in. So the GBC universe recommends 3 out of 10 slots page one on Google, because basically every other boudoir photographer page one on Google will have 1 out of 10 slots or 1 slot. So if we see 3, or if a buyer sees 3, they're kind of subconsciously going to think, man, why is Google recommending this person so much? I guess I'll click into them and may not even click on any of our competitors. And second reason GBC Universe recommends 3 out of 10 as the minimum, because there's a tiny, tiny, tiny chance another boudoir photographer can have 2, which means we also got to be able to dominate them in that case as well, with us having 3. So, and the recommendation of 3 is basically if we got 3 out of 10 page one on Google, we're basically guaranteeing we're not declining. So we're guaranteeing we're either, treading water, so maintaining the business, or growing the business. Most likely growing the business, but we're at least not declining. That's like the big goal here. And finally, a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got our full micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page one, and the false belief, page one equality. Now we have the solution S-cubed methodology. We achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results doing this. So I wanted to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. So I know, okay, the exact thing I do for that is S-cubed methodology. I want to have as many slots page one Google as possible. Let's go down the organic slots. And we got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 9, no, I'm not slot 9. Slot 10, me. So dude, I went from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots on page one of Google in only 10 days, purely using S-cubed methodology. So these are the results I've gotten for myself with it. All right, main event here. You can see if this boudoir photography business has BSS for their local and city search, but it looks like they got 1 search here. So we're combining the local and city. We're also going to see if they hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one of Google search. All right, so DeLand, Florida. All right, so, all right, we're here. All right, we got 1 slot. And yeah, 1 slot. 2 slots, okay. That boudoir's in kind of the body text, smaller. But all right, we'll give you 2 slots here. All right, so we got 2 out of 10 slots, so good. So we do not have BSS, boudoir search sameness. We got 2 out of 10 slots, but we did not hit the recommended GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10 slots in our search. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've done local search for the highest intent buyer keywords in your city, and you saw in your local area, and you did a second search in your city, and you saw that you actually do have BSS in 1 or both of the cities, or you saw that you did not meet the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page 1 slots, and you're saying, oh, finally, thank the universe, something to finally solve this. S-cubed methodology is here, so you decide you want to use S-cubed methodology, and that's because you know page 1 equality is a false belief, which allows you to even look for a solution in the first place. And once you do that, you like the initial benefit, more slots on page 1. You like the other initial benefit, kicking more competitors off of page 1, so that way fewer, your price out gains way fewer number of boudoir photographers. And you understand the market saturation. Yeah, there's 2 prongs. People get a new iPhone, cool. More boudoir photographers. People get a new camera, cool. More boudoir photographers. But you're actually thinking of this new 3rd prong. You're thinking ahead. You're saying, okay, AI's taking a few people's jobs now. It's going to keep taking more and more people's jobs into the future, into the future, into the future. And as it takes more and more people's jobs into the future, into the future, into the future, you actually want to fortify your position on page 1, prepare for the onslaught of new boudoir photographers, be forced into the market, because look, people still got to earn money. If they lose their job, they still got a phone with amazing cameras. So we know people will be, new boudoir photographers will always be entering. And so you want to fortify your position, kind of like the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because that city's like below sea level. So they got to throw the levees up, extra fortification, so they're going to get flooded. So you're seeing that, and you actually saying, okay, S-cubed methodology can also used for exactly that, fortifying your existing presence, page one, and across all social search. And you actually want to have page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, and achieve boudoir search visibility, because you need those things in order to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you also like the extra back-end things that SQ methodology does, where if you successfully execute it every day, you're increasing the probability every single day. Well, we execute it every day, that AI overview will recommend you. And that's because when we do SQ methodology, we're actually building these invisible thematic keyword columns for AI search to take in, kind of occupy more and more AI mind space or brain space in all these different AIs. So we're building different invisible thematic keyword columns, kind of like columns with Parthenon, Athens, and Greece, or like hub and spoke, like a bicycle tire, or where the hub in the middle are, or at least our business name across all socials and our website is the hub in the middle. And as we build these up more, we got more frequency, more authority, more relevance, more age. So all these increase the probability of us being recommended for the premium placement AI overview, and us being recommended in all the AI search platforms: ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. And as a result, kind of this like invisible momentum we can build up. And you're saying you decide you're going to be the first one in your city to do this, because that my current plan right now is to work with only one boudoir photographer at a time. So you can actually close out all your competitors from doing this, get all these initial benefits, build up this invisible momentum, put a massive gap between you and the current boudoir photographers, and especially the future boudoir photographers that will eventually become boudoir photographers as AI eats more and more jobs. And you also know doing SQ methodology also supremely speeds up forming your own brand. So it helps compete against current market saturation, and doubly so, helps your brand become a household name way faster. My estimate is probably 8 times faster than traditional ways. Just because, dude, we're everywhere all the time. Social search, Google search, AI search. Just people won't be able to get away from us. And on the flip side, you see that if another competitor, if one of your competitors in your city works with me, and we do all those things for them, they get all those initial benefits, and the momentum built up for the secondary later on benefits, then what actually happens is there's a big gap between me and your competitor and then you. And to close that gap, you got to increase the well, first you got to derive for yourself the first time execute methodology, how it actually works and how to successfully implement it. And then you got to go execute it day, and equal our effort. And if you do that correctly, well, you're never going to be 100% confident executing it, because you'll never be 100% confident you've derived it correctly. But even if you're equaling all our effort, you're simply maintaining the gap between me and your competitor and you. And so to outcompete us, you got to rederive it correctly, figure it out all correctly, and then you got to out execute us by like 2 or 3x. And it's like, dude, who's got the 80 hours in a day to do all that? So you decide to screw that. It's better for you to actually be the first mover in your city, lock out all your competitors from using this, and kind of roll this to victory. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when my DMs open. My DMs are currently closed. The hospital is currently closed to new patients. But when I do open my DMs, shoot me a DM, and we will see if you qualify to utilize S-cubed methodology.